village to get things ready for him. But the people there did not welcome him because he was heading for Jerusalem. When the disciples James and John saw this, they asked, "Lord, do you want us to call fire down from heaven to destroy them?" But Jesus turned and rebuked them. Then he and his disciples went to another village. As they were walking along the road, a man said to him, "I will follow you wherever you go." Jesus replied, "Foxes have dens and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head." He said to another man, "Follow me." But he replied, "Lord, first let me go and bury my father." Jesus said to him, "Let the dead bury their own dead, but you go and proclaim the kingdom of God." Still another said, "I will follow you, Lord, but first let me go back and say goodbye to my family." Jesus replied, "No one who puts a hand to the plow and looks back is fit for service in the kingdom of God." This is the good news of Jesus Christ. Please be seated. It's no good to have a big butt. And I am so tired of big butts. And Jesus is not putting up with any more big butts in the gospel. If you think I'm talking about rear end, your minds are in the gutter. After all, as a pastor, I never have butts on my mind. But Jesus, he runs into one silent but and two big buts. Maybe a silent but is a good thing. You never know. Because things are heating up as Jesus makes his way to Jerusalem. He is running into opposition, which always happens when you have a new message. Many people hear a new message as nothing but a criticism of the old, whereas a new message is trying to breathe new life into a stale situation. In the face of opposition, perhaps Jesus feels the need for a bigger band of disciples, the need for new people to join his old band, because he begins to encourage people to join him as he travels toward Jerusalem. First, he has a volunteer. "I will follow you wherever you go." Sounds great. But Jesus responds, "Foxes have dens and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head." This is the silent but. "Oh, I thought I at least would have 3 hots and a cot. Thanks, but no thanks, Jesus." And the man leaves without joining the new movement. Jesus says to another man, "Follow me," but he replies, "Lord, first let me go and bury my father." That sounds reasonable, doesn't it? And at first glance, Jesus' response seems harsh. "Let the dead bury their own dead, but you go and proclaim the kingdom of God." Biblical scholars tell us that this man is trying to finesse Jesus with a big but. In the day, sons lived with their family until the father died. So what he is actually saying is, but after my father dies, and who knows when that's going to be, then I will follow you. Jesus rejects his big but. Jesus says to another man, "Follow me," but he replies, "Lord, let me first go back and say goodbye to my family." Deb said to me recently, "Did you notice that no one in Pittsburgh just says goodbye? That the conversation goes on for 5 more minutes, and then it's goodbye." Well, in the Middle East, saying goodbye is a major event. "Oh, you're leaving? Well, we're going to have to invite in all the family and have a big party, and then tell all the old family stories and eat some more and wait 2 more days until Aunt Irene gets in from Nazareth. A Middle East goodbye could take a week or more. Just another big but. And then we have this puzzling saying from Jesus. No one who puts a hand to the plow and looks back is fit for service in the kingdom of God. The meaning became clear to me while working with people in psychotherapy. The kingdom of God is about a new way of living in the world that replaces the old way. And once a person is plowing a new path, it's dangerous to turn around and go back to how you were living before. If you think of the plowing image, it would be like turning around and tearing up all that you had already planted. So psychologically and spiritually, to go back on a new path in life rips up all the new growth and puts your soul in jeopardy. One cannot stop the forward movement without damage. So in all 3 cases, the big buts had to do with remaining stuck in the old ways, the old traditions, the old way of life. I like my comfort, Jesus. I know where everything is. If I go with you, it's all going to be new, and I have no idea how it's going to go. Jesus, I have family obligations. I need to keep with the way my family has always done things. The way we've always done things here in Pittsburgh. You mean I'm just supposed to take off without waiting around until my father dies? And after he dies, I'll probably have to wait around and take care of my mother. There's always 1,000 reasons not to do something. There's always a reason to stick out your big butt. The motto would be, just don't do it. But Jesus says no ifs, ands, and buts. Jesus stands firm, follow me. This later leaves Luther to say, peace if possible, but truth at all costs. Jesus and Luther resist the temptation to make sure everybody is happy and stick with the truth at all costs. I'll follow them. Paul Bell spoke with a woman at our synod assembly who had suggested to the leaders of the congregation that they occasionally use a guitar at worship. Oh, that's cutting edge, right? Well, what did she say? Immediately someone in the congregation said, oh, but, she named a leading family in the congregation. They would never like that. There it is. Peace at all costs. The same old thing, the same old dying thing. This week, Scott Stevens, the pastor at Northway, and I had lunch, and he told me that in this area, Pennsylvania, Eastern Ohio, Presbyterian Church is closing 70 churches this year. The mainline church is going down. Methodist, Lutheran, Presbyterian, Episcopalian. Wayne Gretzky says, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And these mainline churches have stopped taking shots a long time ago. What God declares again and again in the scriptures, behold, I make all things new. Follow me, a new message, a new direction. The new kingdom of God has arrived, but. Older adults were asked about their best and worst decision as they look back on life. Their answer was the same in both cases. The best decision was trying that thing in life they had always wanted to do, even when it was not successful. The worst decision was never attempting to fulfill that dream in life, living in regret and never knowing how it might have turned out. The big old buts stop there. My mentor in seminary summed it up this way: it's too late to decide to be a brain surgeon at 50. The longer we butt the new message, the new path, the new change, the harder it becomes. The butts become harder to climb over. Now there's an image for you to take home. You know, we really have such pathetic notions of sin. Smoking, drinking, gambling, cussing, premarital sex. What Richard Rohr calls the hot sins. What about sin as shrinking back from your life? What about sin as unfulfilled potential? What about sin as paths never taken in life? What about sin as playing it safe your whole life? Did you see the article about the 90-year-old woman who asked the police to arrest her and put her in jail? She had lived a good, safe life for 90 years and was sick of it. Now there's someone who's still alive at 90. She got over her big butt. Come and arrest me and put me in jail. I want to see what it's like. She wanted to risk, to take a chance. No more big butts. My dear friends, I'm so proud of what's happening here at CLC. The church council has gone from a room full of big butts to a forward-thinking and fun group. Mandy and Jackie and the Carnival team are doing a fantastic job of creating a fun event for the whole community of Millvale. Anchor Point Counseling Ministry and CLC will launch the Millvale Community Counseling Center this September for people stuck in addiction, poverty, and hopelessness. The church council is working to create a lasting solution for the finances and care of the cemetery. Jade Lane is putting her heart and soul into our youth group. Steve Slepecki is heading to seminary, and there are 2 other members of our church thinking about seminary. We are preparing for the launch of Higher Ground, our Saturday night contemporary service, including doing a bit of refiguring of the space so we can get the instruments up off the floor and create a little spaciousness up front here. Our capital campaign continues, and I'll be honest with you, I could use 5 families to provide a major contribution at this point. Ed and the choir are revitalizing our traditional music ministry. Jason and Shireen are launching our name out into social media and on our website. Our Christian education team has selected a brand new contemporary education program for our children this fall. No more Sunday school. CLC Kids. Kids don't want to go to school after they've just been at school 5 days. CLC Kids. It might even be fun to come. And more is happening. We are doing it. No more buts. We are being Christ to one another and our neighbors. We are finding and following Christ as he appears in one another. This is the hallmark of a healthy person. Initiative. Taking the initiative. This is the power or opportunity to take charge. Jesus says, "Follow me. I will. Will you?" No more big buts. Amen. That's the first time in 40 years that's ever happened to me. Thank you very much. So Tim Walk asked us to do America the Beautiful this morning. since the 4th of July is coming up. And we're going to do the Virgin by Ray Charles, and we'll do the first 2 verses, and then we'll ask all of you to join in on verse 3 and 4 that are in the bulletin there, okay?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.